Hello, this is Michel Leviathan Sorbet and you are watching a new episode of Wojennik TV. On the last days of 1665, the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, Leopold I, dies. What is more, he dies without an heir, so a new emperor will have to be chosen. The major European powers of the epoch decide to send their envoys to Vienna in order to influence the electors and to decide of the outcome of the election. The French sent the musketeers with Aramis, Athos, Porthos and, what is most important, also D'Artagnan. The Poles decide to send their own men with Wołodyjowski, Zagłoba and Skrzytuski. Those two sides will clash in the streets of Vienna and will try to overcome their opponents in order to influence the electoral election. This is the setting of a new game published in the last month of 2019 by the Polish publisher Wargamer Games Studio, which is called Anno Domini 1666. Anno Domini 1666 is a tactical adventure miniatures game in which two players will try to overcome their opponent, both in a scenario mode, as in a campaign mode, and in a battle mode. So we have quite a few of them. We have the possibility to choose the way that we will be playing Anno Domini 1666. This is a game published thanks to a successful Kickstarter campaign and also thanks to a successful wspieram.to campaign, which is the biggest Polish crowdfunding site, also enabling new projects to be launched, funded and then published. The campaign ended in a huge success and the funds raised were nearly $200,000. The game is, as I said earlier, for two players, but it is also possible to play some scenarios in a group of up to 4 players, which should be aged 14 or higher. The time of play will depend on the scenario and on the mode, because you can play a game which will last 1 hour, but also 2-3 hours. It all depends on the mode. The authors of this title are Konrad Sosiński and Rafał Szwelicki. The game, as I said earlier, was designed and published by Wargamer Games Studio. Today I would like to show you the core game, the main box of Anno Domini 1666, because it deserves to be underlined that because this is also a skirmish game, a miniatures game, we do have additional boxes in which you can find additional factions, for instance the Ottoman Empire. So in this box you will find a set of unique, fantastic miniatures, plastic miniatures, because the game is in 2 versions, in a plastic and metal version. Today I will be showing the plastic version, but apart from this main box you will find several additional which add new miniatures, new mechanisms and new factions. So without further delay, let's check the content of the main box of Anno Domini 1666. Here is the box cover of Anno Domini 1666. As you can see, a very minimalistic box cover, but I do like it. I like intriguing, I like elegant box covers, and this one is absolutely one of them. On the back of the box, on the overhand, we have a lot of information, a lot of graphics. So you have, first of all, a description both in English and in Polish. You can read about what the game is all about. You can also take a look at almost every component which will be inside the box. So you can take a look at the map boards, at the cards, and what is most important, at all the miniatures which are inside. You can also take a brief look at the description and the list of the components and at the information about the time of play, about the minimum age and the number of players. Let's now open this box and let's take a look at those elements in a closer way. So first of all, here we have a layer which will protect what is underneath, because in the game we will find a lot of miniatures, and those miniatures, as you can see, are all set in dedicated places inside the box, so they will be stored in a very safe way. I must say this is a great idea, because I know of many games using miniatures in which the storage is one of the biggest issues that players have, and some players try to create their own protective inserts. Here you receive one of them immediately. This is a fantastic idea by Wargamer. Now let's take a brief look at some of those miniatures. As you can see, they are plastic miniatures. You can buy also metal ones. This is a different version of the game. The metal ones will need to be assembled. The plastic ones, as you can see, are ready to play from the box. You can just open the box, take the miniatures and start playing. And those miniatures are really terrific. They look fantastic. Very detailed, at the same time with some dynamic postures. So this is something which really stands out. This was, of course, one of the Polish fighters. Let's take a look at a French musketeer. Here you have one of them. As you can see, also very detailed, also very well done. Those miniatures really stand out when you think of miniature games. This one will be fantastic. It will be one of the prettiest ones when you will be looking at them on the playing area. We have also some other characters, not only French and Polish soldiers, French and Polish fighters. Here you have also a gypsy, which will be participating in some of the scenarios. Also a very detailed miniature. So for people who like painting, a lot of interesting objects to be painted, and each of them will be an individual piece of art, because most of them are unique. The Polish, the French musketeer are also all different. Some characters will be the same. It will concern the neutral ones. So, for instance, those two characters seem pretty much the same, but not a big issue, because those will be the additional characters, not the main ones used during play. And as you can see, we can store all of them very safely inside this great insert. We get also other things. We get some plastic rings, which will be used during play to differentiate the forces belonging to both players if we do not paint our minis, or if we compose armies consisting of, for instance, neutral characters, or if we play a battle of Polish forces against Polish forces. Why not? Those rings will help us to differentiate both armies. We get cards, 2 decks of them, one for each player, and those will be cards used for battles, because in Anno Domini 1666 we will not be using dice. Here inside this big box, no dice at all, but the 2 decks of cards, one for each player. A standard deck of cards, as you can see, with some additional faces, with some jokers also. What I really like about those cards is that they are stylized. We take a look at them and we have the feeling of seeing a very old deck of cards. So I like the idea. Those are not modern cards, they are stylized, and I really like their style. We receive also some additional elements, so plastic stands, which will be used for doors to separate different locations on the playing area. We receive small cards, also 2 decks which will form a stack, which will represent different objects or equipment used during play. So we will find, for instance, some paper ammunition, we will find bread, we will find some water, etc., etc. Each of those cards is also a card with a great artwork, with information about, as I believe, the cost and also the special capability granted by this card. We receive also standard sized cards which will represent the different characters inside the game. So for instance, here we have Wołodyjowski, the major Polish character from the Sienkiewicz trilogy, with some information, with some stats, with special capabilities, and with a phenomenal artwork, very attractive, very interesting, and looking at it, I really have the feeling of seeing the character that I was imagining while reading Sienkiewicz's novel. Here we have Zagłoba, who is also one of the major characters of Henryk Sienkiewicz books, Longinus, Skrzetuski, and some dragons which will be neutral. On the other hand, we have also the Alexandre Dumas characters. So we have D'Artagnan, we will find also Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. The 4 musketeers will be here. We have also some neutral musketeers which will be used to form our team. And we have some neutral characters. For instance, we have a thief. We have also some Vienna inhabitants. We will have some additional thugs, or we'll have also some soldiers, the gypsies, some kids. So each character will have their own card, and those cards will be associated to the miniatures. And that's pretty it? No, it's not, because it's only part of the components. There is still a lot of things to see. And all those things, all those additional things are below, because we also receive, of course, additional equipment. We receive the rulebook, which is, as you can see, almost 35 pages long. It's a rulebook in color on a high quality paper. This rulebook will describe first of all how the components look like, how they will be used, how the different information on the cards should be read, how the game will be played, how to set up the game, and then how to play a turn, what are the basic mechanics of the game, both of the scenario mode as of the campaign mode, with some additional examples. The second booklet will be the scenario booklet, which will show us first of all the different adventure scenarios, with information how to set the game, what will be the game's objective, some optional rules, and also the campaign rules, which will allow us to play multiple scenarios, which will be linked one to the other. We have also a separate sheet which will briefly describe how to set up the game, both the scenario game and also the campaign mode, and also it has on the other side some information about the arch opponent, the major opponent which we will be facing. We receive also some maps and some boards. Those are double-sided. As you can see, we will be using one of those sides each time. A lot of tokens, a lot of markers, so before playing we will have also to take those from the counter sheet to sort them, so that they will be accessible during gameplay. One counter sheet, and the second one is just underneath, with some doors, with some wounds, and with some additional counters used during play. We get also some player aids. As you can see, 2 player aids, one for each player, so that both players have such player aids in front of them during gameplay. We have also some faction sheets, one for each player for the Polish side and for the Royal French Musketeers. And we also receive additional map boards, two of them of a bigger size this time, mounted boards, double-sided, which will be used to form the playing area depending on the scenario played. As you can see, huge boards on which we will be moving, fighting and trying to accomplish several missions or different objectives. The second map, or the third map, because I have already shown you also the smaller one, is also double-sided. It will represent on one side, as you can see, something of an underground terrain, or maybe it will be the night map used for scenarios set after nightfall. And on the second side of this map we receive a garden map in which we will also be able to battle or accomplish some missions. And those are all the elements. There is nothing else to be shown. Those elements are, as you can see, in a very big box. Now let's pass to a short conclusion. The 17th century was, without any doubt, a very interesting period in Europe's history. So the idea of setting the action of the game in Vienna in the middle of this century is, in my opinion, a great thing, because thanks to it you can find inside the game all the major powers which were the actors of the European politics in the middle of the 17th century, and also you can find the major characters, fictional characters, invented by two fantastic authors, by both Alexandre Dumas, the French author who created the Three Musketeers, but also by Henryk Sienkiewicz, who has written the Polish trilogy. So those major characters will now cross their arms in Vienna. And this is a very intriguing thing. This is a very interesting thing. Apart from this, we have the mythical powers, some magic, which will also be present in this fictional world. We have the Ottoman powers, which will also try to overcome their opponents. So a lot of things is going on. This is a very interesting system with a lot of possibilities. This is also a game which will possibly suit a lot of players. If you are not a miniatures fan, if you are not a wargamer, you can take this game and play it as a standard board game. So you can take the beautiful miniatures, you can play the scenarios or even the campaign inside the game, and leave the battle aspect outside, apart. If you want to have a much better experience when it comes to the war game feeling, you can buy additional factions, you can invest in your army, you can create your own set of forces and battle your opponents in the battle mode. So this is something of a crossover between a standard board game with fantastic components and a miniatures game, and I believe this is really interesting. I have already presented on our channel a game which had the pretty much similar approach. This was the Dawn of Peacemakers, in which also we had the campaign mode, the scenarios and the battle mode. The battle mode was, I would say, the weaker part of the game. Here I am certain that it will be the most important and very detailed, full of chrome element of the game. Wargamer Games Studio is concentrating on war games, is concentrating on miniatures games, so I am absolutely certain and sure that the battle mode, the miniatures game, will be of a very high standard. I'm very impressed by the quality of the elements inside this big box. I am very excited to give this game a try, and I hope this game will be really something exceptional. I will give you more thoughts about this game during a future review. Up until then, check our other materials. We have some videos, some unboxings as well. This was the unboxing of Anno Domini 1666 by Wargamer Games Studio. I wish you a fantastic day and see you next time.